and the children shall lead. Well, this is another episode from classic Star Trek that doesn't rank very high, and is somewhat justified. Other like Spock's brain, I defended, but this one, plus it kind of repeats a theme that well, children can be creepy at times. Horror movies take advantage of this all the time, and children can be creepy and scary. So here they appear to be the villains, but of course there's a evil menace at work here, and it's the evil menace that's the big problem with the show. So it's a bit of repetition in it that well, you've got the children are a problem, and you don't particularly, you want to keep them safe and take care of them, but at the same time they're your adversary in this, and that's the problem that Kirk and crew face here, which is very similar to a much better episode, which was Miri. The only problem there was a parallel Earth deal that kept showing up because, hey, we've got all these sets we can use. And that's kind of the deal. Some of those I thought would have been better if they just said those were long lost colonies of the Federation and they were checking up on them because of the vastness of space and everything, and something went wrong and they've got this virus on there and all that. Might have been better for that one. But anyway, here, this is pretty much what it is. This is a colony. The Enterprise responds to it, and all the adults are dead. The children are fine, seemingly, but they don't seem to really care about all the dead bodies and dead adults around. And they're stunned by this. McCoy suggests, well, they're in denial, and it's going to hit them at some point, the psychological trauma of the loss of their parents and all this stuff. But there's this malevolent presence there that's some sort of energy being entity that's using the children to gain access to the ship, and then eventually they want to get to this space station and just spread its evil, if you will. And then Kirk experiences this. Spock doesn't sense it at first, but they go into a cave, and Kirk suddenly feels terrified, and it's able to overwhelm the senses apparently, and it kind of drove the adults a little nutty. But it was using the children as puppets. It suddenly granted them the power to manipulate the minds of the adults, and so they do this motion with their hands. Dum, dum, dum. That's what they're. And it's like, for instance, Sulu takes the ship off course while believing they're still in orbit around the planet, when in reality they've left. And the terrifying thing about this is Kirk sends a couple of red shirts down to the planet, but they're no longer in orbit of the planet, so they're beamed into the vacuum of space. And well, that's it. So another instance, Kirk tries to correct the course of the ship, but Sulu won't let him because what he's seeing is a bunch of knives in space, and he's got to be careful to stay on course or the Enterprise will be destroyed. It's like, well, aren't you going to question that, hey, there's these giant knives floating around there? But it's the power of the mental power that these children have to force them to do what they want, and they start turning the crew against Kirk. Even Spock is taken over at one point, but he's able to blank it out. And there's yet another scene of what the core of Captain Kirk is his true fear is losing command of the Enterprise, and of course he has a little breakdown there, but Spock's there to help him through it. It's kind of almost like, it's like Spock sitting, would you look at yourself? But anyway, the overall criticism of it is the casting of Melvin Belli, who was this lawyer. The only thing I really remember him from is he was the one who thought he was speaking to the Zodiac killer at the time, and he was supposed to try to solve the case or whatever, which was never solved to this day. So it's kind of like Jack the Ripper, you never knew exactly who the guy was. But anyway, but he was, in Los Angeles, and I can't remember if he was friends with Roddenberry or something like that. There's probably someone in the comments will know the story better, and got a walk-on part, I guess, for Star Trek, and so he manifests as the entity that is manipulating the children, and he appears sort of ghostly like. So I guess they just shot some scenes of him wearing a giant muumuu of some sort. And so he appears and, all right, now we know what we have to do, right, boys and girls? All that. And then after Kirk is able to argue the children towards on his side, the Melvin gets upset and starts lashing out at them. And then they said, now look at him. And it's like his face changes. So the makeup job is, it's like they just piled a bunch of cow patties on him. It's just like, look at him, children. He's just a giant pile of cow poop. And he fades away. He's lost his influence over the children. And they do this by showing the tapes from the colony that showed all the dead bodies, and suddenly it impacts them. When they saw him in person, it didn't, but now then the kids all start crying. Bones shows up and says, and he's all happy to see the kids miserable. Because he says, well, it's healthy for them to grieve after such a trauma and all that stuff. But I think those kids are going to have deep psychological problems for the rest of their lives. And so that's the end of that episode. So it's got some scenes to it that's good because of your cast and it's Star Trek and all that, but it's it's repeating the motif of creepy children, and then of course just Melvin Bella. But hey, how do you know some strange energy entity doesn't look like Melvin Bella? You don't know. So gotta give him that. So anyway, there you go. The children led for a little while, and then they cried and were sent to bed without any supper, I guess. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.